Hello and welcome back to another pick a card reading. For this reading, folks, I want us to look into how this other person feels about you, and I'm approaching this from a love and romantic point of view. Now, if you want to approach this from a different point of view, feel free to do that, but I just want to let you know that my main intention is from a love and romance point of view. So we are going to use one deck, and we're going to divide our 36 card deck into 4 piles of 9. And so we are going to do 4 different portraits. We're going to do one for each of these stones here. So we've got the teal stone, the carnelian, the rose quartz, and the Brandberg. So while I deal the cards, you might want to tune into which set of cards you want to tune into, whether it's any one of these stones, or you might do more than one. I noticed that a lot of people do that, and that is totally fine. Now, before I deal this deck, I want to remind you to tune in to Lenormand Reader's work and YouTube channel. I focus and I specialize on the amazing Lenormand deck, so I'd love for you to be subscribed so that you tune into these amazing readings. And I also want you to look at all the links I have for you in the description box. All right, so let us start dealing our deck. My deck is shuffled. I'm going to just shuffle it a bit more, and then we are going to distribute 9 cards for each of these piles. And as I do that, remember to tune into which reading you want your message to be today. How does this person feel about me? Are they attracted to me? All right. All right, here are our 4 packs of 9 cards, and we are going to start with the teal stone. All right, so here we are with the teal group. We've got 9 cards that we dealt earlier, and I'm going to keep them in this order, and I'm going to draw them into a 9-card portrait. So here we go. All right, here is our 9 cards for the group of teal. Now, the first card that jumps out to me is the mountain that comes at the outset here at the first card of the 9-card portrait. And the mountain in affairs of love have to do with coldness and distance. But what I'm happy to see is this bottom line here. And the fish, sun, and stork is a very beautiful combination that has to do with freedom and achievement. And the sun is really powerful in this regard. And another card that jumps out is the man and the dog. Now, the man and dog are both relationship cards, but the dog is more associated with friendships. And another card that jumps out to me is the scythe right in the middle of the portrait. So the scythe has to do with separation, and when I see it on the other side of the stork, it has to do with liberation. So let's put these lines together and see how this person feels about you, if they're attracted to you, if there are prospects in this regards. Let's start. Now, I like to start with the main diagonal because it has the first and central cards, the 2 most important cards of the portrait. So we've got the mountain, scythe, and stork. Now, what's interesting is that the scythe on the other side of the mountain has to do with breaking through a blockage. And that is really reinforced through the stork. So it could be that this person was feeling shy, or that they were feeling blocked with regards to this relationship, or with regards to cultivating any feelings toward you, but it's possible that this spell is broken and that they're able to express themselves more freely and get past their current blockage. So that is a beautiful message. Now, the second line I like to look at is this diagonal here. We've got the fish, scythe, and man. Now, this is quite a tricky line because the scythe and man can refer to a separation, but the fish is a really bright card, and in affairs of love, it has to do with sex and sensuality. So there could be quite a bit of attraction here, and when I look at it with the bottom line that we saw earlier, there could be quite a bit of attraction. What's interesting is that when you put these 2 diagonals together, it's possible that this person was feeling blocked and maybe shy or distant for some time, but now there is like an attraction, or they make up their mind about this, and they could suddenly feel attracted to you. That is really positive, and I think it is very likely, actually, in light of these cards. Now, isn't it interesting how cards that appear to be challenging can be something different in a different context? That's Lenormand for you. Now let's look at these columns. The mountain, dog, and fish. When I see these 2 together in the context of love and attraction, it's possible that they want to get to know you first as a friend. But what's also possible is that when we see the dog and fish together in the context of love and attraction, there could be a sensual attraction, and sometimes this could be a scenario or an arrangement like friends with benefits. I'm just putting it out there. I'm saying that's possible. And if that's something that you want, I think this can work out in this way. So that's one interpretation. But another way to look at it is also that after this spell of coldness or shyness, there is a developing friendship and attraction that ensues. And that is really, really possible. And then we have this beautiful combination here. We've got the key, scythe, and mountain. And the key, scythe, and mountain has to do definitely with the breakthrough. And with the sun, we see there's some major success. And then wrapping up with the line here for the verticals, we've got the man, tower, and stork. And this can be someone who comes back from the past. That's possible. If this was a previous relationship or someone you've known for a while and there was this sense of distance between the two of you, then we can look forward to coming back into play, this person coming back into play. And the tower next to the stork, there could be some changes that you make for the long term. So this could be that the relationship kicks off for the long term. That is really possible. And the stork is quite an active card. So whatever was on hold or whatever the situation where you were apart, it's probably going to be resolved for the better. And I think this is very well supported by the very bright cards in the central column. So far, we have the real possibility that there was a time apart, but that now this person wants to come back into play. That is really possible. And they are attracted to you sensually, sexually. That is very possible. And if there was an issue, then we can look forward at things being resolved. I think this is something that is on their mind and that they want to put behind them. And I think we see that in the central horizontal here, sorry. So let's talk about these horizontals. The top one is the mountain, key, and man. So this time apart must have been something that this person needed for some time. It might be that they needed a different perspective or they needed to figure some things out for themselves. And this is what could have been holding them back. But we are not without solutions because the key is really bright and it suggests that this is going to be resolved. And really this is confirmed by the other lines that we saw. So I think this spell of coldness is going to be broken. I think this is someone who has you on mind and they want to get past their current phase of stuckness. And I think they want to bring things back into play. This is a very beautiful message. Now, the most interesting line for me is the dog, scythe, and tower. And when I see the scythe and tower, I usually take it to mean a separation from the past, a release from the past. Now, what's possible is that the dog here can mean their previous relationship or your previous relationship. And this could be something that has been at play for the current situation, for the current relationship, or for this person that we're talking about who might be attracted to you or thinking about you. So it's really possible that this needs to be out of the way before this person can move forward again. I do think you succeed or they succeed in getting this previous relationship out of the way because the bottom line, and we saw the central column as well, and really all of the other lines are quite positive. So the fish, sun, and stork is a beautiful attraction. It's a beautiful set of events that kick off after this situation here is resolved. And I do think that there's attraction and chemistry between the two of you. There's definitely potential for that. And I think you are on their mind in this way as well. So to recap, really, this is quite an interesting 9-card portrait for this question that we're asking. There has been a spell of coldness, a time of separation where things needed to be figured out. That thing that could have been at issue is probably a past relationship that had been either holding you or the other person back. But this is successfully resolved. We're able to put this past chapter behind us and we're able to come back into play and probably kick off this relationship. So these are some really interesting messages. I really would like to know from you how you feel this is playing out in your situation with this person. I do think it is really bright. I think it's important to break through the blockages and I think it's important to put the past to rest. So if you want to move forward in a new relationship, it's important to clear up whatever could be holding you back. And I think this person reciprocates, and I think they're attracted to you sexually, sensually, and probably in other ways as well. The friendship looks really strong as well. And so I feel there are potentials here that could be rolling out for you. So this is what I have for you for the 9-card portrait. It is a lovely set of cards. Again, leave me some comments. And before I let you go, I want to remind you that I have plenty of resources for you. I teach the practice of Lenormand, so you might want to tune into my master courses and guides. And I also offer you a whole lot of free resources. Of course, I give private readings. The menu is in there as well. And I'm going to link a few other things for you to look around Lenormand readers' work. So thanks so much again for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to our next reading together. All right, here we are with the Carnelian group. I've got the 9 cards that we dealt earlier. I'm going to keep them in the same order, and I'm going to deal out our 9-card portrait. All right, here we are. Now, this is a really interesting portrait because we have 2 communication cards and actually a third one. The garden is about meeting and gatherings. We've got the letter right at the top of the portrait. We have the book here, we've got the garden, and we have a beautiful message of the heart and child coming through. I think you can see what this means for yourself, right? Now, what's interesting is the clouds right in the middle of this portrait. And so the clouds is a bit of a challenging card. And in this context, it's going to bring a bit of nervousness, a bit of confusion about the best way to approach each other. And so this is what's on their mind. But what's also really interesting about the clouds is that, remember the question that we asked? We asked, are they thinking about you? How do they feel about you? And so the clouds is the card of the mind. And with the heart, which is the card of emotions, we can pretty much answer in a straightforward way this question that, yes, you are on their mind. They do have you on their mind. They are thinking about you, and they have feelings for you. So that by itself answers the questions pretty positively. So let's weave the different lines of the portrait and come up with even a better story. So the first line I like to look at is this diagonal here, the letter, clouds, and child. So the letter is all about communication. This is someone who wants to get in touch, who wants to reach out, who wants to take the first step because of the child. There's just a bit of nervousness and anxiety from this, and we see from the book Clouds and Women here that that person is really not sure how you're going to take their contact. This is what's coming through. Isn't that interesting? They're maybe feeling that you're a bit mysterious, that you're not sure how you would respond. They're not sure if you would respond. So that is what is coming through, and these are key communication cards. Now we look at the column here, we've got the letter, coffin, and book. This is someone who had been wanting to get in touch for some time, but they were feeling stuck. They weren't sure how to approach you, and they're probably still not sure how to approach you because of the book, but also because of the clouds in the middle. So really, this is what's holding them back. But we do see that things will progress. So we've got the anchor, clouds, and garden. And when we see the garden, it has to do with getting together, gatherings, and going out. So when it comes to love, this has to do with dating. And this is a person who wants to invite you out. So this is probably what they have in mind. They want to find a way to be with you. And so they're trying to figure this out. So this could be a bit complicated for them right now. They're feeling stuck, they're feeling shy, they're a bit anxious about how you're going to respond. But when we look at the right-hand side column, it looks like they do come through, and I think you're going to welcome that. So we've got the woman, heart, and child, and you can be either one in the relationship. And the heart and child is clearly the beginning of a new romance, of a new relationship, or at least some positive feelings that are exchanged. You know, it's really innocent, it's really soft. It's a very beautiful message that's coming through. So a really interesting set of cards. Now let's look at those horizontals. We've got the letter, anchor, and woman. Again, this confirms to us that they will get in touch. And I would say do respond. Like whatever you feel you're inclined to respond, you know, be honest and tell them what you have on mind, but do take the trouble to respond. I think that would be nice. And the coffin, clouds, and heart again confirms to us what we saw in this vertical here. So these two lines, they T-cross each other, so they can complete meanings together. And we've got the coffin, clouds, and heart, which has to do, again, with that nervousness, that anxiety about wanting to get in touch, but not sure how to. This is very clear through these cards. But again, another positive line here. We've got the book, garden, and child. The idea that there's going to be a new opportunity to get together, a date, or some new steps taken forward in this way. It's just a matter of time before this happens, because the book is a little bit unpredictable. Another suggestion here, just a simple one, is you might want to go somewhere that you haven't been to before. That might be nice. It might do something nice for the relationship. That's really just a side detail, but it's also possible coming through the book and garden. So overall, this is a really beautiful set of cards, very clear in the message. So the message is you are definitely on their mind, and they are wanting to get in touch, and they're feeling nervous about it because they're not sure how you're going to respond. But it looks like they're going to get over their nervousness. They're going to get in touch. I think you're going to respond positively, and there's going to be an opportunity to get together and explore this possible new relationship. Now, isn't that a lovely reading? So straightforward and so helpful, I would say. I'd love to know your thoughts about this if you picked this portrait here, this beautiful portrait. And before I let you go, I want to remind you that I have plenty of resources for you. I teach how to master Lenormand. I've got the master courses and the master guides. And I also have a whole lot of free resources for you to start exploring it. And of course, I offer private readings. The link is also in the description box. And I have a few other things that I'm going to link in the box and also at the end of the video. So thanks so much again for tuning in. And I am so looking forward to our next reading together. All right, here we are with the Rose Quartz group, and we've got our 9 cards from the ones we've dealt earlier. I'm going to keep them in the same order, and we're just going to deal them out into a 9-card portrait. So here we go. All right, now this is quite an interesting portrait, and I say that because all of the cards are bright, but we do have a couple of tricky cards. We've got the fox and the bird. And we're going to get to the fox in a bit, but the overall portrait is beautiful. We've got the moon, the star, the flowers. These are wish fulfillment cards. And we also have the tree, rider, and ship here, which suggests that things are going to move forward. So I really feel that this is a person who wants to get to know you, who wants to do things with you, and I think they really desire you. I mean, we're talking from a love perspective. If you feel you want to apply this in different ways, again, that is totally fine. But this is someone who feels really good about you. Now, what's interesting is that we've got the bear here at the top of the portrait, and this can mean that this is someone who feels protective about you, who wants to be strong for you. I mean, a really nice set of energies coming through these cards. So let's weave the lines together and see what is the story that comes through. So the first line I like to look at is the diagonal here. We've got the bear, rider, and flowers. Now, the rider in the context of love is often a knight in shining armor. So this can really be someone who turns you on, who, you know, really fills your dreams in some ways. And because of the bear with the rider here, we have the sense that this is someone who is really willing to take that extra mile for you, really willing to reach out to you. Very gutsy, very courageous person here. And with the flowers on the other side of the rider, well, that's just beautiful. I mean, they might buy you flowers, just straight up. And they also might compliment you in really nice ways, might gift you, might want to be generous with you. I mean, this is a really beautiful set of cards here. And in the second line, we also have another beautiful message. We've got the star, rider, and ship. I feel this is really someone who desires you, who's going to take the extra mile. You might even go on a trip together. That is really possible because of the rider and ship. You might want to do something different, like a getaway, and just explore each other, I guess. A very beautiful line. And I do think this is someone who thinks about you a lot, who thinks about you fondly. And I think they're really past the thinking stage. I think this is someone who's really ready to take the steps and move forward. And it's pretty clear to me that they desire you, that they desire a relationship and want to do things with you. This is an active person, and it all looks so positive. We're going to look at the top line here. This one could be a bit tricky, but first let's look at the vertical. So we've got the bear, tree, and star. I really feel this is someone who is confident in themselves, and they really know themselves, and they're pretty sure that they're interested in you and they want you, and they want this to grow. They want to allow the relationship to unfold. And because of the star on the other side of the tree, I feel they want it to unfold in this positive way. I think they have a lot of faith in this. They really trust that this can work out and this is the right thing for the two of you. So do you agree with this person? I mean, there is so much positive energy that they're bringing to the table. Now, the fox, rider, and bird is one of those tricky lines, and it's going to T-cross the top row here. The fox, rider, and bird can mean that they're hesitating somewhere, or that they're worried that you might not reciprocate. At the same time, I feel that they are willing to take that step because there's so many other cards that support this, and also the rider is right in the middle of it. And the rider and bird can also refer to a trip. So like we saw in the second diagonal here, they might want to go somewhere, go places, have conversations. Very dynamic person. But the fox also suggests that they are not scattered. They're not all over the place. This is someone who is focused and who is also really connected to their goals. So they know what they want. And I think this ties in really well with the bear being at the top here. This is someone who knows what they want. I also feel that there's someone who's family oriented. So the fox is really good with families, even though it's tricky. The fox is good with families. It is someone who puts their family first. And on top of that, the bear can refer to the matriarch. So there is this family energy that is possibly coming through. This might apply to you, it might not, but I feel that it remains a possibility. So see if it applies. And so the fox, rider, and bird is really someone who is vocal about their own intentions, and they also know themselves. There might be some things that they don't reveal, but I think in time they will reveal them. And I think there's lots of positive energy. I really don't see the fox as compromising anything. It's just someone who plans well, who thinks properly about what their goals are, and I think they've already done that, and I think they're ready to move forward in this goal. So like I said, they're past the thinking and feeling stage. I think they've made up their mind. I do think they want to pursue you, and I do think they're going to make that move. So see how you welcome that. And then we've got the ship, moon, and flowers. This is another beautiful set of cards here. Probably has to do with an invitation to go somewhere, if not to that trip. But the moon and flowers is definitely about compliments and a lot of romance as well. Sensuality and attraction and chemistry, very much highlighted by these cards. And like I said, you might actually go someplace and go somewhere fun and enjoy some good times together. Very possible. Now moving on to the top row, we've got the bear, fox, and ship. So like I said, the bear and fox can bring up the family element because this is a relationship spread, but it's also someone who knows themselves well and who's very gutsy and bold, not afraid of anything, I don't think. And with the ship here, it's clear that they're willing to take action and they're willing to do what it takes. They can be calculating, they can be planning, which I think is a plus more often than not. And so with the fox and ship here, it's really about making sure that this is aligning with them. And also, if you have certain doubts, then again, check in if this aligns with you. I do feel there's plenty of positivity here, so this should be well received. But do let me know in the comments. And then we've got the tree, rider, and moon. Again, another beautiful set of cards. A little bit like the one here because they've got the moon in common. So the rider and moon can mean an invitation, but it's also because of the tree, maybe things unfold a bit more slowly. So this is someone who wants to go slow and steady, though steady and consistently. And this, I think, ties into the fox, the idea that this is a person who has certain goals from their relationship and they want to make sure that they're going to be able to attain them. All the while, they're really attracted and they bring beautiful energies to the table. So an invitation comes through, and I do think you might want to welcome it and see how it evolves because it really looks positive. And in the bottom row, we've got the star, bird, and flowers. So again, a very beautiful set of cards suggesting compliments and nice things being said, because even though the bird is vocal and sometimes associated with anxiety, when it shows up with beautiful cards like the flower, the moon, and the star, it's really a positive combination, and it's about compliments and nice conversations, beautiful exchanges. And I do feel that this is really about getting along together, and I think there is really a lot of potential in this regard. So this is quite a beautiful portrait. I do think we are past the thinking stage. So obviously this is someone who is thinking about you and who has you on mind. But I think they're past that and they're now wanting to take action. They want to take steps in this relationship or in this connection, and they feel really positively about you. They want to go places, they want to travel together and, you know, have conversations. A very engaged person, really wanting to connect on different levels, all while wanting to see this unfold, because I think they want a relationship. They probably want a family, and so they are after this goal, and so they want to see if this is going to work out. So let me know how you feel about this, but I do think this is a person who's going to make moves and invite you and really engage you in many different ways, and lots of attraction and chemistry here. So a beautiful, beautiful set of cards. So I'm looking forward to your comments. I hope you enjoyed this portrait as much as I did. Leave me your thoughts. And before I let you go, I want to remind you that I have plenty of resources regarding Lenormand. I teach how to master this amazing deck. I've got the links for you to the master courses and the master guides. And I also have plenty of free resources if you want to get started. Of course, I offer private readings, and that's linked in there as well. And a few other things that I'm going to link in the description and also at the end of the video. So thanks again so much for tuning in, and I'm so looking forward to our next reading together. All right, here we are with the last group. We've got the Brandberg group, and I've got the 9 cards that we drew earlier. We dealt them, and I'm going to keep them in the same order that we dealt them in. And we're going to draw them into the 9-card portrait, and we're going to interpret it. All right, now this is a really interesting spread, and I knew we were going to get those cards because I drew the previous ones and I was using only one deck, so I was expecting the challenge cards to come up in this one. So the main challenge here is the snake, mouse, and whip here, right in this middle line. And what's interesting though is the very powerfully positive clover right at the top here, and on top of that we have the ring, and the ring is the card of relationships. But what we're seeing here is clearly a separation and an ending, and because of the clover, I do think that this is in everyone's best interest. So let's start weaving the lines together and put this whole story as one story of this portrait, starting with this diagonal, which is always where I like to start. Now the house, mouse, and road clearly has to do with the home. The house covers the first card, so this is about family and family matters. And because of the mouse and road, I feel this is someone who does not want to commit. So the house is a commitment card, as is the ring, but the mouse and road is about leaving and wanting to move away. And so a separation is clearly in view of these cards. And the reason I think is because of commitment. So we see it in this line here, but we also see it in here. So we've got the cross, mouse, and ring. So this is someone who is not ready for a commitment. This is someone who is not wanting to go too deep in the relationship. And I do think also that they're not sure where they want to go. Because of the cross and mouse, I feel they have these bigger decisions that they need to make for themselves. And similarly with the mouse and road, it's like they don't know where they're heading, and so they're not ready for anything near a commitment or even a relationship at this stage. So I think this is very clearly coming through these cards. And when we look at this vertical here, we've got the house, snake, and cross. Again, there is this idea that they want to turn away and do something different. They might feel that this is weighing on them, that the relationship is feeling a bit burdensome, and that they want to leave. And so it's very similar in structure to what we saw in the first diagonal. You know, the snake is a bit like the mouse, and the cross is about these important decisions, as is the road. It's about choices and the path ahead. So clearly this is someone who is not in the mindset of a relationship. So I don't feel that they're ready for one. I don't feel they're ready for commitment. They need to figure out their own path first. And with the clover, mouse, and lily, I think there is the beginning here of the positive messages that come through this beautiful clover here in the spread. And the mouse and lily suggest that this is actually a good thing. The mouse and lily can mean someone who's potentially draining, who is potentially a bit of a pain because they don't really know their life direction. They don't really know themselves well. So they feel a bit like it's not clear what's happening with them. And with the clover, it's a really good idea to let them figure it out. So I would say this is the first key message, that other than, the changes that we are seeing here, or the fact that they're not ready for a commitment, I think the beautiful clover here adds something very important to the reading, and it suggests that there's a good reason for this. This is a phase. This is something that they need to overcome. And it is actually good for you too. And so I would say let that go and drop the expectations from them, because they're lost, honestly. Let's just put it that way. They're a bit lost, and they're not sure what to make of this. And you don't have to carry that. The clover is really good at lightening burdens. So it has that sense of magic that lifts things off your shoulders. And so let that happen to you. Let them go. Accept how they feel about this, their wobbliness and their inability to really stand within a relationship or towards wanting a relationship, and let them go. And we see with the ring, whip, and road, this is very clearly a separation. So this is someone who I feel they want to run away. I feel they're not up for responsibility. They're not up for commitment. They're just not up to this. This is not where they are right now. They're not in that mindset. They're not capable of it right now. And honestly, because the house covers you, because it's the first card, you are building something and they're not. And so I feel that this is not compatible. And I also think, thanks to the clover, that you want to be, to some extent, compassionate to their sense of loss and let them go so they can find themselves. So whether this is a relationship that exists already or it's one that is a potential relationship, I would say drop the expectations, because they're not feeling it. They don't know where they're heading. They don't know what they're doing. Really, this is someone who's a bit lost at sea, and I think they deserve some compassion. So let them go find themselves. And I do think this is very good for you, because while you're building something and you know where you're heading, I don't think it's compatible or helpful to you to be with someone or expect from someone who is completely lost, to be within your energy, within your vortex. I just don't see the compatibility here. So I do think it's a really good thing that this falls through, because another relationship is possible. You see, this is this beautiful line here that intrigued me from the outset. It's got the house, clover, and ring, and this is beautiful for relationships. So we are in for a relationship. There is something there for you if you're not already in one. But this situation here, this needs to fall through. And you're settled, you see, because of the house and clover. You know yourself. You have a foundation, but this person, no, they're not on there. They're not at that level. And again, we see this confirmation here, very powerful line. We've got the three most challenging cards together. We've got the snake, mouse, and whip. And clearly this is someone that is moving away, and I think you should allow that. I really think you should allow that. And then the cross, lily, and road is, I think, a really good message, because it has to do with a new path and a phase that ends and begins. And, the cross and lily is all about these important life decisions. So I do think this is an opportunity for an important change, for letting yourself move into a different direction. I have to wonder if this person wasn't holding you back. Maybe you had expectations or you had hopes, but I don't think this is right. And I do think you can liberate yourself from this. And when you do, I think you're going to sense that feeling of relief, and it's going to open up for something new down the line. But for now, this work needs to be done. You're best letting this go. And I don't think this person is up for this. This is not someone who's up to the expectations or up to, anything that has to do with commitment. They're just not there. So I hope you can accept this. I do think this is, I really like these spreads, even though people see them as negative, but I really like them because they bring so much clarity and they anchor you in life, They have that sense of realism to them that help you move forward, help you to accept, and then you can move forward. And I've had clients who have been through such readings with me, and they've come back and they've told me, you know what, looking back, that was really what I needed, because I needed to make that realization to finally drop it. And when I did, things turned around and I got this or that job and I was able to move there. And, you know, just in, you know, life and all of its interesting gifts and beauties here and there. So I hope you welcome this message. I want to emphasize again that if you feel this is a challenge for you, I do think it's a relief. But if you feel it's a challenge, then I want to remind you of the clover and the potential that it holds, and also the idea that, you know, there's a new phase that's in store for you if you would just let this go, because this person, you know, they're not able to get into that space that you're thinking, or that perhaps both of you were hoping. So I would really love your thoughts on this portrait. Really powerful portrait. Leave me your comments. And before I let you go, I want to remind you that I teach this amazing Lenormand practice. I've got the master courses and the master guides. They're linked in the description box. And I also have free resources for you to help you get you started. So be sure you download a few of these and check out, you know, all of these interesting ideas around Lenormand. Of course, I offer private readings. That's linked in there as well. And I'm going to leave a few additional things in the description box and at the end of the video. So thank you so much again for tuning into this reading, and I'm so looking forward to our next one together.